Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to another Fortnite video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about some more tips and tricks on how to stay alive longer or die less, whatever you want to call it, in Fortnite Battle Royale. A pretty good tip video that a lot of people have been requesting, and I want to do more. If you guys have any questions or anything that you guys are having trouble with that you think that, hearing some tips and tricks on could really improve your game, let me know in the comment section down below, because I asked this a couple days ago. People were asking, how to find more kills in the mid game, how to survive longer. Those are some of the things that I saw, but I know you guys also have a lot of other stuff to ask. So if there's anything you like, tips and tricks wise, you guys want me to make a video on, don't be afraid to leave me a comment down in the comment section down below. I'll be reading through, and if there's any good ideas, I'll probably make some videos on that sort of stuff. And today's video, of course, is how to survive, how to stay alive longer while also playing this game effectively in order to get more battle royales and do whatever you want to do in this game. Some people play for battle royale, some people play for straight up fun, some people play for battle stars. It's whatever. If you guys could drop a like on this video, of course, you guys have been supporting me so well and I just appreciate it so much. Let's go for 500 likes. That would be absolutely insane if we could hit that. I really do appreciate everyone liking the videos, subscribing. My channel is growing at a rapid pace and it's just amazing. I think we're up around like 42,000 subs or somewhere around there already, which is just so crazy, and I can't thank you guys enough for the support. So drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and let's talk about how to stay alive longer in Fortnite. So first thing in a stay alive longer video we have to mention is landing spots. Now there's a bunch of different landing spots in this game. Of course, the main points of interest are where you're going to run into more enemies, which in turn will be harder to survive the early game. However, basically the contrast to that is if you land at Tilted Towers, Pleasant Park, Retail Row, some of these big areas of interest. I'd even say Salty Springs is a pretty big and popular area of interest because of where it is in the map. A lot of times the battle bus will go right over that. You're going to run into more enemies and probably die more often, but if you do make it out of those areas, you're going to have more loot. So if you want to survive longer in Fortnite, you need to find an area that, it's easy to fall into the Wailing Woods and sit in a corner, but you're not going to have any loot. So you need to find areas that don't have too many people, but are also a good place to loot up. And what I suggest doing is stretching it out of the battle bus. So what I mean by that is when the battle bus comes in, you'll see that the straight line that it's going to fly in, and you're going to want to go to a place that's a little bit smaller on the complete opposite side of the trail where it's going, because most people are lazy. They'll drop to the first point of interest, they'll drop to a place real close to them. But if you guys are willing to want to survive longer, get more wins and stuff like that, stretch it to a far place, and stretch it to a place that's not the main points of interest, but maybe somewhere like Shifty Shafts. Greasy Grove is a great place that you can stretch it to a lot of different times. Even there's little factories and Flesh Factory, different stuff like that, even though that is part of this weekly challenge. Flesh Factory and the factories beside those are great places where you can get quite a bit of loot. I've come out of there with a scar so many times, and I usually only have to kill 1 or 2 enemies. So that's what I've talked about as far as the landings go. If you want to survive longer, land appropriately to that. Also, while landing, make sure, a lot of people don't do this, but I don't even do it sometimes because I'm lazy, or I'm doing something else. I'm eating a sandwich while I'm falling in. The game starts as soon as the battle bus starts to go. So when you're falling in, make sure when you're on pace, you're in your parachute or whatever, look around and you can see how many enemies are flying into that place where you're at. Sometimes you'll look around, you'll see no one. Be careful because people could be landing late, or they could have landed before you. Sometimes you'll see 5 to 10 enemies, just so you know what to expect. As well as with landing, you want to land not just on a rooftop or anywhere. You want to land close to a chest usually, or where you see a gun. If you physically see the gun, land right on that. And make sure that you guys are paying attention. A lot of times I'll be falling in and I'll be multitasking, and by the time I look back at the screen, a guy's landed right in front of me with the gun. So make sure you guys are paying attention to your landing spots. That's what I'll give you for that. Next tip is a major key. To survive in this game, you have to utilize all your senses. This is a battle royale game with a pretty diverse map. Enemies can be coming out of anywhere. They can be hiding anywhere. I mean, I'm sure it's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to you guys. People in bushes and stuff like that. But the main thing is probably the biggest tip I can give you guys in this game is to use your audio. Use your audio senses, because footsteps in this game are so loud. And what I mean by that is you can hear footsteps. You can hear people building. You can hear people shooting. You can hear so many different things in this game, and you definitely need to have your audio on. Now, I'm a person that usually likes to listen to music. music, I listen to a lot of podcasts, watch TV shows, stuff like that. But when you're in this game, you really have to have just strictly your audio on the game sound. Of course, it's okay if you're talking to your teammates or talking to some friends. That's usually what I would do. But I always crank my audio up. And me personally, I use a gaming headset. I use Astro gaming headset, but any sort of headset really can help you to decipher if enemies on the left or the right. Listening to your enemies, especially early game and in places with tilted towers, and being able to understand the audio, understand the different sounds. I mean, I can't really explain the sounds, but there's different sounds for when people are running on different materials or building different materials. And if you understand that, that can be a major key. That's more of the early game tips. Let's talk about more general tips, how to stay alive longer. First one is to, not the first one, but the first one in this section, because I've divided it into sections on my notes, is to know what gunfights to take. You don't have to take every single gunfight. Now, what I mean by that is play to your health and your supplies. If you just got out of a huge fight and you're at 30 health and you see, an enemy, maybe in the distance, you don't need to chase after him right away. Or however, if you're low on ammo, you have to, of course, if you're low on supplies, go for fights, but you have to do it strategically and make sure that you don't have to take every single gunfight. And you also don't always have to loot people, because I see so many times people get into the looting curse. I'll see my friends going for supply drops and different stuff late game, going for chests when they have $9.99 of everything and a gold scar, and that can really just get you killed. Make sure that if you're fully looted near the end, you don't have to loot every single person that you kill. If you kill someone at a distance, you don't really have to loot them, but if you are in desperate need of loot, then you probably have to do it strategically. And what I mean by you don't have to take every single fight is know about offense versus defense, and this is a major key. Offense versus defense in this game. So whenever you're shooting at someone, whenever you hit someone, you can see either a blue hit marker, a yellow hit marker, or a white one. If you see blue, that means you're hitting them or yellow means you're hitting them in the headshot. But what you really want to look out for is blue or white. If you're hitting them on blue, you're knocking down their shield. If you're hitting them for a white hit marker, that means you're hitting them for their straight up health, and they're most likely already low, because if you hit them maybe once or twice, they're going to be at like 50 HP. You can pay attention to those numbers and know that when you have the enemies weak, that's when you want to go on the offense. And what I mean by going on the offense is constantly spray down they're going to start building, spray down their walls, rush them, move up on people. It's not really too risky to die, and you will be able to stay alive by going for those fights. You can't be scared, because you're going to need to go for certain fights to get certain loot. However, what I mean by not taking every gunfight and playing on the defense sometimes is, say you get shot at and they hit you in the head with the scar across the map and you have no heals. You probably don't want to peek that guy again. You might want to just get out of your base and maybe rotate around and try to catch another unsuspecting enemy coming in with the storm, because facing an enemy where maybe he has 200 health, you have 50, he's already hit you once, that's when you want to go on the defense and either build to heal or plan a different route and plan a different gameplay, because a lot of people have egos, I guess you could say, in this game, and they want to fight every single person, which is great and a great way to get a lot of kills. It's also a way that will get you killed more times than not when you don't recognize the fight. Recognize when you have an advantage in the fight, that's when you want to go on the offense. And you also probably only want to take fights where you think you can win them. If you see a guy but he's looking at you and he's spraying down, you probably just want to maybe go the other way, or maybe plan a different route to him, or wait for a third party to engage to do that. Next tip I'll give you guys is about rotations. Now, rotating early is a major key, and paying attention to the storm. Now, a lot of times when I'm playing squads, this is most confusing when you're playing squads or duos, and we hear some gunfire, we may just run to that gunfire and try to get some fights, but not pay attention to where the safe zone is going to come in and the clock. Understand the clock underneath your minimap and what that means. It basically means that the safe zone, how long until the safe zone is going to come in, and then it counts down as the safe zone's coming in, how long until it forms into that new white circle or safe zone. Understanding that can make you say, sometimes you may see a bunch of loot, or you may see two enemies that look like easy kills, but you're going to get caught in the storm. And of course, it's okay to be in the storm sometimes. Early game it only does 1 damage, mid game around 2, but late game it can do 5 or 10 damage per tick. And then especially then, you don't want to go into that safe zone, so you have to understand that, and make sure you keep an eye on that storm. A lot harder to do in squads and duos because they're so chaotic and so hectic. In solos it is fairly easy to do that. And as far as late game, my number one tip for late game, or even for that mid to late game, rotate early. If you get to the safe zone, if you get to the center of that safe zone before other people, you're going to have an advantage over them, and they're going to have to come to you, which basically, according to the building in this game, you can have it set up and you can make people come to you, and those gunfights are a lot easier than when you're trying to rush to them and they're up in a base. I mean, we've all had that time where we're late to the safe zone, we look up and there's 10 huge bases right beside us and we know we're screwed. So make sure you're rotating early. For example, right here in this game, there's 2 people left, so it's me and the other guy, and I see basically that I'm not in the storm. So what I do, I have a bunch of materials, is I run over and I make sure I get myself up into the storm here. I see him over here, and then I build up myself a base before taking this gunfight, making sure I have my defense covered, and then it's just an easy kill from here because I chose to build while he was trying to spray at me across the map. So those are some tips on how to stay alive longer and how to basically win gunfights without being over aggressive and doing it more strategically. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Thanks for watching. Drop a like on this thing, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and I'm out. Peace.